Hi everybody, it's Amy at Crafty Cat, and I just wanted to come on. I'm working on kind of an altered bag here, and I had a very good question come up from one of my subscribers. Her name is Sharon. Hi Sharon. So I just wanted to kind of address it wasn't necessarily a question, but more of a statement about acid-free and lignin-free, because the other day I did the altered bingo card, and I did this little envelope out of a little pocket out of an envelope. And she mentioned that this stuff is not acid-free and lignin-free, which she is 100% right about that. And I think the only thing I can say about that is that if you're wanting to use photographs that you are like brand new photographs that you've printed out and everything, and you don't want anything to happen to them, that you should definitely not use the things that you know, I've been altering. I'm just going to work on this while I talk to you guys, so you at least have something to watch. This is just a form that I cut out of some scrapbook paper. And so anyway, if you are wanting to use original photographs or even vintage photographs that you don't want to get messed up, then you shouldn't use this type of stuff. I'm going to cut this a teeny bit more because I know it's going to be too tall. You should really stick with the scrapbook papers and you know, scrapbooks and things that say that they are acid-free and lignin-free. I think the reason a lot of us have moved away from worrying so much about acid-free and lignin-free is, I hope I'm saying that right, that word's kind of weird, but anyway, is because we have all this digital camera stuff that we didn't have back when that all started about your photo albums and things needing to be acid-free. And so now that everything's digital and we can keep everything on our computers and stuff, I don't think we worry about it as much because we know that we always have a good copy. Whereas before, you know, if the film broke down or it got lost or, you know, whatever, then you were just kind of out there if your pictures decayed or disintegrated from the use of albums with acid and things like that in them. So what I have done with photos that I want to put in my junk journals, and I know that my junk journal, because I have like coffee stain paper, sorry I didn't mean to hit that, coffee stain paper and all that, I know that there's a whole lot of stuff in here that is not acid free. So I have started making either photocopies or I scan my photos, my old photos, and then I just print them out on regular paper. So I know that these are going to break down further. Like this one you can see was already cracked. It's an old postcard of some family members. And you know, so I'm keeping that in a box that's protected, but these ones are just photocopies of those. So you can do that and use those in, like, if you want to do this kind of junk journaling thing, like this is a picture of my dad, but it's a photocopy. So if you want to use photos, but you want to do the whole junk journal thing, which is the whole idea of it is to use or alter old things and make things look old, then you can use photocopies. If you want to preserve your pictures forever and not have anything happen to them because you only have that one copy of it and you can't get any more copies, even though you can have them all the old ones put on like compact discs and things like that, so that and then you can download them on your computer. I mean, there's just lots of stuff you can do now, and I don't even totally know because I'm not like an expert in this or anything, but I'm just trying to say that for sure she's right. This stuff is not acid free at all because we're just using found objects, old objects, you know, reusing, trying to give things a second life is kind of more what junk journaling is about, more than like historic preservation kind of thing like you would do with a book that you only have one of in a library or some situation, museum, that kind of situation. So my suggestion would just be to get all those on your computer, all your photos on your computer, and then make copies onto paper or things that you're not as worried about, and that way you know you always have that original to go back to. So because I think as junk journalists what we're kind of trying to do is there's things like this that end up in garbage cans and in landfills and things like that. And so we're kind of trying to save some of this old stuff, you know, for future generations to at least be able to look at it. So like this one, I'm going to take apart and take all the old tape off of it because obviously tape is one of those things that's not great. And, you know, I'll try to make it good for somebody to use again, like give it its second life. And I think that's more what we do as junk journalers than trying to like preserve our pictures like you do if you're scrapbooking. So I just think there's a little bit of a difference there. So, but if you're trying to preserve pictures, definitely don't use old bingo cards and, you know, like these kind of bags and things that I've been using. That my purpose is more my own art and just doing things that I like. I love old vintage things. I love like these kind of things. This picture out of a really old magazine. This is how to make these purses and things like that. I love that stuff. And so to me, I'm kind of like giving it a second life because a lot of people may not be interested in this form. But then if I kind of do some art with it, then it brings it back to life. So that's kind of more what junk journaling is about than, you know, like perfectly preserving your pictures. So that's why I'm okay with using the acid-free, or I mean, the stuff with acid in it and lignin and all that. I'm not worried about that because I'm doing something different than preserving pictures. So I hope that helped, Sharon. I hope I didn't just like lead you off into a tangent. You're like, you know, why? But I think there's just kind of a difference between scrapbooking and junk journaling. It's just two different things. Like junk journalers are trying to give things a second life and try to keep from throwing everything away. You know, that's why like on that bingo card I used an envelope from HelloFresh and, you know, just things like that just to kind of help without so many things getting thrown in the garbage. Anyway. Okay, so I hope that answered. If you have more questions or whatever, just leave me a comment below. So this was the little envelope that I was working on the other day when I did the bingo card. The bingo card sold, so I can't show that to you guys. But anyway, this is just a little, the envelope that I did with the collage on it and the buttons. So that's kind of what we were talking about, was the buttons. And then I did a big tag inside that has a pocket here that I tucked in some old ephemera. And these aren't vintage pieces. They're just stuff that I had in my stash that I've printed out or bought it with scrap paper, or I mean scrapbook paper. You know, it's just stuff that I've had. And so I tucked those little things into that pocket, and that goes into this back pocket back here. And then these little things, this is like kind of a vintage paper doll. It doesn't have the tabs, but that's just the way it is. And this one isn't old. It's a copy of, you know, what I found. I just found it online. And then this is like an ad for baby powder, I think it is. And just a photo, a vintage photo that I copied. And so these are all just tucked into this pocket that I did with, you know, the button and all that. So again, like this, of course, is not going to be acid-free and lignin-free because I've got all different like coffee stain papers and things like that. So if you did want to use it in a baby book, you're going to want to be mindful of, you know, that type of thing. So those are that's just what I made. And I think as junk journalists, a lot of us know that some of this stuff is not acid-free or lignin-free. And like I said, I think we just like that look. We like the yellowing. We like, you know, that whole look. And again, you can just print pictures out now, so I don't think it's quite as, you know, scary. And I understand wanting it to be acid-free and lignin-free, because if you have old photos, you don't want them to get ruined. So I totally get that, because I did a lot of that, and I'm glad, because I have, you know, pictures of my kids that aren't saved, and, you know, now they're safe in those scrapbooks without the acid and all that. But I do love now that we can print so much of this stuff out, and we don't have to worry about all that as much. And I think we kind of just like that look that it gets when it gets old. You know, but if you don't, then you should stick with the acid-free thing, you know, obviously. So I'm just kind of making an altered bag, like I said, and I had this paper, and I think I'm going to cut that wing off because I just want one wing, because this is like facing kind of that way. It's turned, it's not straight ahead. So that's kind of what I'm looking for. And I just found this image in like clip art kind of stuff that I had. And so that's going to go up there. I'm going to scoot this down. And I don't totally know what I'm doing. I just more wanted to come and talk about that whole acid-free thing, because it is very important if you're using real photos. But so I was going to kind of play with this. And then this I cut out of that old magazine. And so I don't totally know what else I'm doing. I had tried a few different heads on this. I tried this one, which I did like, and I really was going to go with that, but I think it's just a little big and too tall. Like, it would make this too tall to fit in really any journal. So I went with a smaller head, and I did try some of these heads that I have too from Imaginarium on Etsy. So anyway, I'm just gonna keep working on this, and I hope that I have answered those questions. So yeah, I hope everybody's having an awesome day. I'm having a pretty good one. I'm trying to think how I want this. I think I'm going to leave this kind of as a tuck too, so that I'll have two pockets, but I am gonna kind of get it all the way across the top, so it'll just be like I can slide stuff in this way. Since it's kind of open on that side, I think that would be kind of fun. This is just a scrap that I had of paper, and I think it's the same company. I don't know what it is though, because I don't have the bottom part anymore. But I'm going to leave a border around this a little. I do need to bring it down pretty low though, because I want to be able to get in and out of my pockets. So that bottom part is going to have to come all the way down so that that's up there. But you can kind of see it on the side. I just like this bag, so I don't want to cover it entirely. And then I'll probably take my punch. So see, now I'm going to have a pocket here, and I will have one up top too. I just cut the top off because it was kind of wrinkled and stuff, because this was one that I got in Happy Mail. So doing that, and I'm trying to think. I kind of want something else behind her, so I think I'm going to get my old scraps. And like I said, since I didn't really, you know, start this with a total plan, I may be coming back and forth, but I'll try to keep it together so I don't drive you guys crazy. So yeah, I hope everybody's having an awesome day. Mine's been pretty good. Just had to run some last minute errands and trying to finish up some stuff for Valentine's Day for my family. So that's always fun. I really do like Valentine's Day. I know I've said that a lot, but it's just fun to tell the people you love how much you love them and make little goodies for them. I don't know, I'm not really seeing what I want in here. I kind of want, that's a Christmas. Excuse me. This would be kind of cool. Some music paper. So I'm just going to tear that a little bit. And see, so there's things like this, like these old, you know, music books and hymnals and things like that that just end up falling apart, and the paper is just falling apart. So I don't feel all that bad using that, just because I feel like at least, you know, it's used for something. It's better than going in a garbage can. So I really like using this stuff for, you know, kind of like art purposes. Just gonna tear it right here straight down. But I totally get the concern, because if you're doing like a scrapbook or something like that, you don't want to, you know, mess up your pictures or something. That'd be horrible. So I think it's important to ask those questions and find out. You know, what other people are thinking on that, because it was so important for so long, and I still think it is super important for, you know, actual photos that you cannot replace. It is super important because otherwise they're gone. But we're just kind of lucky now to have the ability to keep it on computers and discs and all those kind of things. So it's very fortunate now with that, I think. But for a while it really was a big deal. And I know I've seen, like, my mother-in-law has pictures of my husband and family and all that when he was a little kid, and a lot of them are just horribly yellowed. And it's sad because, you know, you can't get those times back and those photos back. So it's a good thing that we did find out about all of that. I'm going to turn it just a little bit. I liked this side, the other side, because it had just a little bit more music on it. I'm just putting a little glue. You really just don't need a ton because this paper is so thin, it's almost like tissue paper, and it will just stick down. And then I made another one of these button things, so I might put that one on here. Oh, that goes this way. That's right. I might put it like down here because you'll still be able to tuck something in there. That might be kind of fun, but let me get this gal on here first. And then I want the wings. I'm just loving doing these crazy paper doll things. I hope you guys aren't like, oh, I wish she would stop with those paper dolls, but this is really my wheelhouse. This is the stuff that I really love to mess with. I know it's a little strange, but it's kind of fun. And I'll probably move on shortly. But I am enjoying doing all these pockets because I get to change it up all the time, which that really helps me because I tend to get bored fairly easily with doing the same thing. So, which is probably why I do so many different crafts, because I cannot focus very long on one. Paper, though, definitely is the one I like the most. That's the one I do most with. So I'm just putting some glue on the body of that butterfly, and you know, I want that to kind of stick up a little bit, so I didn't glue that all the way down. Put her head on. And I've been liking to just kind of put glue on parts of the head instead of the whole thing, so that there are parts that kind of stick up just a little bit. It just gives it more dimension, and I like that. To make sure I get her head on here right. I'm glad I found this head because I think it's a good match for this. So there will be that tuck, and then of course the bag itself. And I'm thinking I'm going to put this down here because I like that. And I think I'll leave it a little tuck so I can put something here and in here and the big pocket. And I don't know yet what that will be exactly because I didn't get that far. This was just kind of one of those, I found this and I was like, that would be fun to do those crazy paper doll looking things that I've been doing. So it was kind of a last minute decision on that. This is just some manila folder. I just want to put it on the back of this to cover up those, so when I put like a tag in and out, it's not getting caught up on the threads and stuff. I've glued them down, which I do just to make sure that it's not, you know, going to come undone or anything, but also I like to put something on the back of it so that whatever goes in there can come in and out without getting snagged or caught up. And I mean, you don't have to do that kind of thing, but it is something to think about when you're, you know, making pockets that have things on the front that might go all the way to the back. I really want that top edge to get glued the most because, again, we don't want things getting caught up. It really wants to lift right there. And I've already got glue everywhere and ink on my fingers. Doesn't take me long, does it? See, so I think that'll work good. I think anything that goes back there will slide in and out now. And I'm going to put that one on there. And I just used 3 different scraps that I had and just sewed on those buttons and did some French knots like I showed you guys the other day. So this isn't really anything new, this part. And you want to be kind of liberal with the glue because you know, this is pretty dimensional, so it kind of wants to lift in different places, and I've even been using my binder clips to hold some of this stuff on because it really does want to lift up. I'm going to grab some of those. Sorry I wasn't more prepared. I just got off work and ran some errands, and I got that comment, I think the day before yesterday, and I really wanted to get back to her on that because I felt like it was important to make sure that she knows that I know this stuff is not acid free for sure. She's very, very, very right about that. Our times change so fast now, you know. When I was a kid, things stayed the same for, it seems to me anyway, a lot longer, and it seems now that our technology and stuff advances so fast that I don't know, sometimes you just feel like you can't, you know, keep up with it. And but we're very fortunate to have the pictures the way they are. You know. Other than I think I did a lot more with them when I had them and I could, you know, go get film developed and get the pictures. I feel like I did a lot more with it than all the pictures than I do now. So in that way it's not great because you just think, oh, they're on the computer, it's fine. But you kind of miss out on making some of the, you know, neat memories, getting them in a book so that people can just look at them whenever they want. And I just liked this Woody. I thought that was kind of cute to put on there. Okay, so I think I'm going to let that dry, and I'm going to work on what in the world I'm going to put inside of all these little spots. So I just really wanted to come on and chat with you guys and, you know, do a little something for you to watch. But I hope you all have an awesome day, and I hope that helped Sharon. If not, or if anybody else has questions, just let me know. Like I said, I'm not an expert on it. I don't really know why it's changed so much, but the only thing I can think of is just that, you know, we have the technology to keep the pictures on our computers, and I think that's the reason it's changed. And now we're trying to tackle a bigger problem, which is the garbage that we all make every day. So anyways, I will talk to y'all later. Have an awesome day. Bye-bye now.